currently living out in California. I believe Dennis is trying to channel his inner Rick Sanders, at least appearance-wise. NCAA runner-up for the University of Iowa. Darrius Little, All-American at NC State. First to 10 here in the semifinals, a 135. Little actually coaching out at Hanover High School in mechanics. Inside trip to double overs. We're going to have some, well, almost. And there's the 1-point push out for Little. And using the Virginia Beach Regional Training Center down at Old Dominion University as his training site. While Dennis out now in Windsor, California, NorCal fighting. And we got a 1-point push out for Little again as Dennis stepped out. Dennis will walk that 2-on-1. Double leg. Now 2-on-1 there for Dennis. He's going to try to push Little to the edge. Underhooked by Little. Clears the tie. Little's got to be careful of getting his hand stuck in Dennis's beard.
Thanks for helping.
I guess I got to give that line credit to Drew Periano. He suggested it. I just delivered it.
And a push-out point for Little. Any point that goes out of bounds, legal or neutral, will be a point.
3-0 lead now for Little on 3 push-outs. Dennis was hanging with Jay Borschel at the Chicago Regional Training Center not that long ago. You didn't have a chance to hear the audio during Borschel's first match, but let's just say the man comes to town with a pink llama. We'll explain that as we get to that semifinal later. So these wrestlers both wrestling for a chance at the finals. Nice high C, going to drive Little out of bounds for one more. So now it's 3-1 lead for Darrius Little as Dennis strikes.
3-1 our score.
I want you guys to Google pictures of Rick Sanders and compare them to what Daniel Dennis looks like right now. Yes. And if you Google pictures of Darrius Little, you will see exactly what Darrius Little looks like right now. I would say I'll be here all week, folks, but I'll be at Permani Brothers as soon as this thing is over. Dennis on the attack, another push out, so it's now 3-2. Marcia Hayes, your official, making the trip from New York. Dennis lowers his attack. Cannot get past the down block. Here at Tour ACW's test event in Pittsburgh.
Thanks for visiting Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for our ACW test event.
This being a professional style sporting event, nothing prevents me from mentioning anything about the spirits and beverages this town has to offer. So I encourage you to crack open a cold icy light and enjoy the wrestling. There is no official beer sponsor for this event yet, but I'd have to say Yingling and Iron City Light are making pretty strong pitches. Coming up on the 4-minute mark, still a 3-2 lead for Darrius Little, the North Carolina State alum.
A warning on
We need to talk to Brian Hazard about his music selection here as the PA announcer. Sum 41 stopped being relevant about 5 minutes after they became relevant. Collar ties. Is Daniel going to circle the Liège? Tammy Tedesco hooking us up with some water. Dennis trying to finish, gets the takedown and takes his first lead, now 4-3.
His hometown, Ingleside, Illinois.
I think Hazard played this song specifically because of Dan Dennis, because it mentions mullets and El Caminos. So it's a 4-3 lead, 5 minutes into the bout. And we're going to come back up to our feet. No Drew Periano. We are not going to approach Strohs. Maybe Schlitz, but definitely not Strohs. Unless they're willing, hey, we'll entertain all offers. Heavy snap by Dennis. Coming up on the 5.5 minute mark. Follow results online at capwrestling.net. Also check out InsideWrestling.com as Jermaine McCove interviewed every athlete yesterday and got some information and talked about their inclusion in this event and why they entered. Front headlock for Dennis. Now while the Ravens and Steelers are about to kick off, I still think this is the biggest sporting event going on in Pittsburgh this weekend. Dennis gets behind. Is he going to get two? Well, there's got to be at least a takedown out of this.
And a takedown for Daniel Dennis. Back neutral, 6-3 Dennis. We're 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
6-3 lead now for Daniel Dennis after the takedown. Coming up on 6.5 minute mark. And the longer this match goes, it might have to favor Dennis just because, I mean, look at the guy. He obviously hunts squirrels for food. 1 point push out for Little. It's now 6-4.
6-4 right now in our semifinal in favor of Daniel Dennis.
And for those of you who don't know Dan Dennis, he's just an absolute, just a funny guy to be around. You know, one of those no-nonsense, what you see is what you get type of things. But there's a lot more to Dan Dennis, and a lot of people, if they assume he's an Iowa wrestler, they don't get it. Don't know if you could consider him a free spirit like Rick Sanders, but definitely just a funny guy. Coming up on the 7 minute mark, or 7.5 minute mark. Little has been warned for inactivity, at least on 2 occasions. Now coming up on the 8 minute mark. Winner of this bout will take on the winner of our next semifinal between Alex Radsky and Gerard Garnett. And I will say this, from an intimacy setting, we haven't had a whole lot of scoring in the last minute or so, but we're in this ballroom. There's little charging, little out of bounds for 1. So instead of 2, it's just now 6-5.
Here's where
6-5. We're coming up on 9 minutes now. We've mentioned Rick Sanders a couple times. Now we're approaching the time and the length of matches that we had when Rick Sanders wrestled. Of course, that was before my time. So it's a 6-5 lead for Dennis. Remember, no time limit. The goal here is to score 10 points or get the fall. This thing could go on for an hour. I think for everybody's sanity, we'd hope it doesn't, because that would just, you talk about a grind match. Sweep single for Dennis. 1 point fish out for Dennis, now 7-5.
7-5 push out for Daniel Dennis. 7-5.
Seven to 5 the score. Now at the 10-minute mark, our first match to hit the 10-minute mark thus far. It is our first semifinal of the day. Double leg attempt by Little. Dennis tries to hit the front headlock and counter, and 7-7 now for Little and Dennis. And there's a push out as Dennis stepped out. No push out, no point. Teague Moore steps in, hey, there's no push out when you're on the top and bottom. You have to be in the neutral, so 7-7.
11 minutes in, 7-7. Wrestling corner shot in the finals.
7-7. Little and Dennis. Past the 11-minute mark. An Iowa Hawkeye and a member of the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Good single leg by Dennis. Tries to duck under. Coming over top is Little. Now Dennis with a body lock with the trip. And it's going to take Little down to the mat for 2 more. So now 9-7. Looking to end it there, 9-7. 1 more point for Dennis will do it. 9-7, minute 30, 11:38 gone by in this marathon of 1st to 10. Another point for Dennis will do it. Both these guys still going at it. You're not seeing the fatigue factor, even though these guys aren't in Division I rooms every day anymore. Little working with a high school. And there's a single leg by Dennis. He's going to drive Little out of bounds for 3, and that'll do it. 12-7 in 12 minutes. Tennis 12-7 in 12:02. How about that, folks?